Hi, I'm Patricia Keener. I'm the Associate Director of Career Management at London Business School. So the model that we have at London Business School is designed to kind of give you support when you need it from different perspectives. So you'll have, as an MBA, you'll have an assigned coach, and that's a person that will work with you throughout your 2 years that you're here. You can also see other coaches for different perspective, but it's nice to have one person who really understands your story and helps you through that journey. In addition to that, we have sector advisors that you can meet with who are there to help deepen your knowledge about the sector. So you're going to do your own research, but these are our sector advisors who have the business relationships with different companies, and they can then add their expertise as to what you need to know about that. And it's really great because we do at LBS have some very strong employer relationships. And then finally, we have peer leaders, which are typically our second-year MBA students. We hire them and train them, and they work alongside us. And that gives you a unique perspective of somebody who has been through a recruitment process journey that maybe you're going on at that time. And also they can share their pre-LBS experience if they've worked in a role that's of interest to you. So you're getting coaching, which is an overall ability to help to support you and challenge you and ask you questions to move you a little bit deeper. You're getting sector advising, which is about deepening your sector knowledge. And then you're getting that perspective from other students, that can speak to you in a kind of in a different way about how it worked for them. So I think it's a nice blend. The market right now I'd categorize as being a fast pace of change. And I think a lot of that is due to what's happening in the world right now. Obviously, we're having a lot of elections. We've just had an election here in the UK. There are elections happening all over the world. And that has an impact on sometimes on employers and what's happening in their hiring decisions. Also, there's conflict in the world that plays a part. There's other agendas too around sustainability and climate change. So all of these things play a part into kind of the labor market outlook. And at the moment, I'd say it's fast moving, it's changing. So what does that mean for our MBAs? I think it means that we need to be kind of adaptable and understanding to what's coming and what's changing, what's happening. Where are those green shoots, those growth areas? And sometimes that means broadening out your perspective, because some routes might suddenly be narrowed temporarily, and you might need to go other routes to get some experience to then be ready for when those routes re-expand. But there is always a market for good talent. And as I said, we have some really very strong relationships with employers as LBS. So, those are all positive things. So that's the outlook of the market from my perspective at the moment. There definitely are post-COVID challenges, and we run a recruiter forum once a year where we bring our recruiters in to touch base with them and ask them, what are the challenges for you, and how can we help to prepare students better? And some of the things that have come out recently have been around the generational differences. So we have a lot of Gen Z and millennials in the workforce, and then older people in management who are having some challenges understanding and kind of both ways. So we do a lot of work to think about, how are you approaching things with a growth mindset? How are you staying curious? And how can you build relationships with people of different generations to kind of get an understanding? For example, if you feel I'm really productive when I'm working from home, so why do I need to be in the office? Understanding kind of what's the perspective of the people who are asking you to be in the office. Why do they think it's important? So you can kind of weigh that up. So I think there's a lot around these new generations and how we're working together, and companies are taking different approaches to try to make that more integrative. Also, I think there's this global understanding and agility piece, so this cultural awareness. Again, and I think that's one thing that we do really well at LBS, because we have such a variety of nationalities who come on our program. So you really do get a global team that you're working with in your study groups, or that you're involved in our student clubs. And I think that's important as we're working more across borders and having that understanding, not just that there are differences, but how do I create strategies to be effective in my communication, or effective when I'm working with people from different places. I think the hybrid thing is here to stay, and I think companies are still working out how that works for them. And again, that's being adaptable to saying, yep, totally, you can be more productive at home sometimes. Sometimes we need to be client facing, or we need to be in work physically, and you have those happenstance conversations with your colleagues. So there's that balance going on between that for employers. And I think we try to help prepare students to think about how are they coming across when they're in the workplace, in person, building those relationships, and also how to do that virtually, because being online is a slightly different medium when you're in this square. How do you feel like you're authentic and connecting with people there too? For our students, I mean, thinking back to our last class that we have employment data on, I think it's important to think that it isn't just sort of one company that comes to hire from us. Like, we had 366 companies that hired our last class as full-time employment. And a big sector is consulting. That was 45% of our class went to consulting. And often we see students interested in starting in some form of consulting to be there for a few years to get experience and then move on to other organizations. Some do stay in consulting, but some see that as an opportunity to move to other places. Finance is probably the second largest one for our full-time outcomes. That's 26%, and that's finance across all different levels of banking and wealth management and private equity and asset management, things like that. And then tech is 21%. So you see tech and finance are getting a little closer together than they have been in the past. A lot of interest in tech, and London is very much a big tech hub, whether it's fintech or new different uses of technology. That's becoming a bigger thing. And we're seeing more within organizations, just digital understanding and using technology more important no matter what kind of role you're going in. So it's interesting that tech is sort of like another high option for students. And then we have students who also go into what we call diversified industries, so other sectors. And the top ones there tend to be, for us, energy, healthcare, industrials, and retail consumer goods. And often people are coming with some sort of background or interest in that to particularly pivot into that. But we work with a variety of companies. Obviously, we have these relationships with McKinsey, Bain, BCG, LEK, EY Parthenon, big consultancies, also banks like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, and organizations like PIMCO and ERBD, so for the finance roles. And then our tech tends to be things like Amazon or Wipro, MasterCard, some of those bigger names. And Amex, Samsung, even cool stuff like TikTok. We have a wide variety of different kinds of employers. And then in that more industrial space, that corporate space, Eli Lilly, Vitol Group, Saudi Aramco, a lot with energy. So yeah, it's a wide variety of stuff. What's really interesting is in a 2-year MBA, and that's one of the great advantages of a 2-year MBA, you have this opportunity to do an internship. Certainly an internship in the summer, and some of our students do internships at other times of the year too, where they can fit in a short-term internship. And we see, funny enough, that the highest percent of internships, 42%, are in tech. So people want to have an experience of tech. They might not always go into what we classify as a tech role as full-time, but as I said, so many of these roles now want some sort of technology understanding or digital component that'd be really useful. And then, also we have probably a little bit more of a percentage of people doing, kind of different kinds of things they always wanted to experiment with. And they might think, I want to rule this out, or I want to rule it in of what I want to do after the MBA. So the internship is really an amazing opportunity to have some time to try things out and experiment and see if it is what you wanted to do. As far as locations, we typically get 50% of our students around that mark. I think last year it was 55% staying in UK. It's usually about 15% who are looking to switch locations and make that location switch in some way. And then about 30% of them, I would say, are kind of doing a double switch where they're switching sector and location. Remember, the more switching you're making, the more challenging that can be. But it certainly is possible. It's just, having to put in that work to make those things happen. I would say, the MBA skills are similar as they've been in past years, having really strong communication skills and influencing skills, thinking around strategic thinking, problem solving, leadership skills that they can demonstrate. But I'd say what we've seen in the past few years in this post-COVID world is more around versatility and flexibility. And I'd also say humility too, in terms of sometimes because of these changes in business, it is just sort of getting down and rolling up your sleeves and doing the job and not being too too precious about kind of, does that seem to be the ladder? There are no more ladders of career success. It's much more a wider, broader net that you're kind of navigating. And I think those behaviors are ones that we're trying to encourage and infuse in our students to be flexible, adaptable, to look at multiple options, to understand there are many ways to develop skills that are going to be for your longer term career aspirations as well. But it's important to have that humility to be able to say, I'm here to do the job, and I can get the job done and prove that I'm somebody who can deliver. And also that digital savviness, having some connection. And I think we're seeing that in the generations coming up, that they do naturally have that, but feeling that they can build on that and be comfortable with that is important. We work in sort of three specific different ways with students, and really our purpose is to help them think about what lifelong career impact means to them. And it's very personal. It might be a personal passion of something they want to do. It might be, I'm really interested in this particular organization and getting some experience with that organization, or it could be something on a big societal level, like I really want to make an impact on the world. So I think it's important for us to really help students in the beginning and work with them to identify what's important to them, and really knowing their self. So once they know their self, they can match a little bit better to what the opportunities are out there. We do an interesting exercise at the beginning with our MBAs that's about helping them determine what their career criteria are, what's really important to them. And we've seen a shift over the last, I'd say, 7 to 8 years. Back then, I think when I was first at LBS, salary was always a big part of that picture. And that's not the case so much now. It is more, making an impact or having balance or giving back in a different way that kind of turns up in this exercise. So that's quite interesting. I think the way that we support students is unique because we do have that coaching, which is truly a career coaching offer. It really helps people to define those goals and maintain that focus. MBAs are quite busy in their program. There's a lot going on, and it's really important that they feel they have a framework to make good decisions. So they can't do everything. They're going to have to make decisions, but how do they expose themselves to as much as they can and make good decisions? So I think we're supportive in that process of how to help give them information, help them make sense of the insights that they're developing, and also make those career decisions so they can maximize their time. And then I think there's keeping on top of the market trends that comes through our sector advisors, talking about what's happening, where are those growth areas, where are things that people might explore. I think part of our job is not just to bring on the aspirational companies or connect with the aspirational companies. So there's opportunities, which of course we do, but also to educate a little bit about what else is out there. So for example, in tech, there's many startups that we work with or growth stage companies who are really cutting edge and interesting, and it's great to get some exposure to them, even though that might not be initially what you're thinking about. A few years ago, we had a little company come on campus called Uber that not many people had ever heard of, and now is a big player. So that's the kind of thing to sort of say it's about what you know, but it's also expanding out your knowledge to what you don't know, so you understand what's out there in the market. And I think we do that in a great way. We run a wide range of career and networking opportunities, bringing employers on campus for presentations or networking evenings, interacting with our alumni who are working in different companies, bringing them in for panel sessions. So we really try to give people a lot of opportunity to create some new insights, either from people they talk to or different information that they are starting to put together that makes sense to them. our support doesn't end when you graduate. We have an Alumni Career Centre, and that is a great offering that we have that offers career coaching for students. So you're able to have a career coaching session if you're at an inflection point. Let's say, something changes with your job, or you have an opportunity for a promotion, or maybe things have changed in your life where suddenly you're going to have to change geographies. There's that career coaching offer that's there that they can take up. We also do have a wide range of online digital resources, which are, again, pointed at different things that you might be experiencing as alum. Whether you do want to transition to the next thing, or maybe you're looking of coming back after a break from work, or you're looking to get a non-executive director role, things geared toward your whole career path that you might have, and learning opportunities. We've just done a thing through our Alumni Career Centre with one of our professors from Ibarra about kind of reevaluating your career at 50, when you still are going to have 20 years more to work. What do you want to do at that stage to think about an encore career? So lots of really interesting and innovative topics. And we also do things at the reunions for alumni too. When they come, we do some group coaching around different topics that can be of interest to the alums. So a lot of support. It doesn't end. And I think that's the great thing about LBS is we really are a community. It's easy to reach out and connect with other alumni, and it's easy to stay connected as an alum.